Yep.
Frontwards?
Ready.
Frontwards or backwards? I like it frontwards. I remember they told me to clean up my image. They said I need to put on a nice shirt. J. Crew. Oh, this is an old Argyle culture. It's my own shirt. All right, so today we open with a prayer for Dr. Dre, who's suffering from a brain aneurysm and who was admitted into the hospital. One of the icons and big inspiration for me and for many of us in the record industry. So we're praying for Dr. Dre. We lost too many this year. I don't want to speculate to what caused the brain aneurysm, but I'm always saying that, just so you know, unrelated, that when you have a brain dysfunction, it's clogged arteries in the brain, and lots of people will say that it's the animal product, the cholesterol in the animal product that causes that. A lot of research on that. But I don't know what the cause, but my dear brother is in the hospital. I mean, just lost ecstasy. I was playing his songs and started to cry. Ecstasy, because when you hear his voice and on those songs and all the fun I had with him as his manager for so many years, and I watched them come from guys who had aspirations to guys who exploded into the marketplace. He had so many hits. I thought that when he passed, I thought of Friends, but I didn't think of 5 Minutes of Funk. I didn't think of Funky Beat. I didn't think of Big Mouth. I didn't think of One Love. I didn't think of, there was so many hits that they had, and our brother passed. And a lot of us are dying because of our diets and because of the choices that we're making. Pre-existing health conditions, almost everyone is caused by our diet. That's just the less preaching. All right, today I'm going to have somebody on that's really, I think, inspiring, because his favorite line, not fuck the police, but film the police, FTP, always film the police. I met him here in Bali, but actually I met him at my yoga studio in LA, and I almost went in business with him, but then I re-met him here in Bali. He was running from the police, afraid of repercussions for having all the celebrities send him their videos, everyone sends him their videos. He then posts them, and all the celebrities then repost them. And so many of the discussions about police brutality have come because he posted on his site, always film the police, Mr. Checkpoint _. So you know who we're talking about. Mr. Checkpoint _ is the guy we're speaking to today. And he's going to talk about not only police brutality, but we're going to talk about, there he is, right there.
Waiting for Mr. Checkpoint. Yeah, he's going to talk about all of the people and that are working with him, people you need to know, and things you need to know, and rules you need to understand, and laws you need to know, so you can protect yourself when the police pull you over. Driving while black or even white, or driving without knowing your rights is a problem. Puts you in a real, it's a problem. So you need to know what your rights are, what you have to do when they pull you over. And it made a difference in my life, just his instructions, so that I acted a certain way. And I gave myself, a shield between me and the police without breaking the law. You need to do that, especially in this moment when the police have been so aggressive. They've always been aggressive. They nothing new about this shit. Only thing, Mr. Checkpoint is unable to join. Why is he unable to join? Okay, we'll try one more time. Send request. So, and this will go across all formats, this podcast. I mean, we're filming with multiple cameras, but we're doing it on Instagram. Mr. Checkpoint, what is up with him? Is there something wrong with his reception? It says waiting for him. So he came here afraid of police. I guess off-duty police and on-duty police have threatened him because he started filming and promoting the films. And more than just filming himself, he promoted so many videos that would not have been seen. and then he became an epicenter for all of us who cared about police brutality. So he's a hero to me, and he's just a young kid who has a real keen appreciation for justice. And you'd be surprised to see this young Jewish kid who himself has been very preoccupied with the abuse of people of color. And his family are lawyers. Come on, Checkpoint. Maybe just why can't you get on, Checkpoint?
I had always filmed the police. It's not letting it join on this Checkpoint. I had always filmed the police. I'm requesting.
Always film the police? They're not letting you join as Mr. Checkpoint? Why?
It's not letting me join.
I see Jalil Farrakhan in Detroit Bayou. I see O'Neal McKnight. I don't see Always Film. Well, you don't have it up here, kid. I'm only looking at the real Charles X, Mr. Checkpoint, Antoine Mack, and a couple others. I don't see Always Film the Police. Is that a separate website? Is that a separate request? He's gone. So Always Film the Police. Why are they not letting Always Film the Police, Mr. Checkpoint? So, I mean, this man's work has been so phenomenal. He's saved so many lives. He's helped to change laws. He's just a kid. He's put himself at risk. He actually had to run, flee, he felt, LA, and he worked from here, and he got his courage and his weight up, and he went back. And he's done stuff, and I plugged him into one of our favorite lawyers. Fuck is his name? Ben Crump. Benjamin Crump and he are working together to get justice for many of the victims that he has highlighted. So this is a very important person in the scheme of things, especially as we look to reform the police. His videos have been critical for all of us to see what the potential changes we can make, and also see the abuse that has been going on for hundreds of years, actually, and it's not been talked about. It's not new. None of the police brutality is not new. Police brutality, in fact, is come on, Checkpoint. None of this stuff's going to be in the podcast. So always, I see Mr. Checkpoint always filming the police. Wow, there's a lot of people trying to join, but I just want you to always film the police. I don't see it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I see Charlie Max on here. It won't let him join. It's fucked up. Why would it not let him join? And why is he saying ad always film the police? Let me explain. Let me get a look at this guy we're going to be speaking to in a minute. So, inspirational, a guy who risks his life. He makes no money at it. He spent his whole life promoting police accountability. He's sharing rules, laws, and opportunity for us to sue. He's sued the police multiple times and won. He's a person who we need more like him, but just who's that selfless? Who wants to run from the police because he's helping others? And that's what he's been doing. It just says again, Mr. Checkpoint's unable to join. Why do you think that is? That's not. So who does that? I mean, who spends their life in service? Lots of people, actually. You can press it again, but it's always the same. But to spend his whole life fighting for justice for other people, to risk his life fighting for justice for other people, and then, you know, a lot of celebrities, again, have looked to him when they find something. Man, what is wrong with your phone? Say hello to the people. That's Mr. Checkpoint, yo. Why?
I can't explain it. It's not. It says, I'm going to show you because I'm about to talk about the phone. I was working and then I was on my own line. I tried to join yours.
We'll try once again. We tried a lot. And start the whole thing over? Well, what did you...
All right.
Oh, there you are. There my nigga go. Fuck is up. There we got him.
I had to use another phone. Like this phone. Anyway, we're good. We're here.
All right, we're good now. So, all right, so I talked a lot about you. I have to repeat it because probably won't be in the podcast. I simply said that I met you at Tantric Yoga, that I was going to be in business with you and trying to create a business out of the AFTP, always film the police idea, so that we could broaden it. You need a business. I tell this to people, if you're doing social justice or something, you need a feeder, something to feed it so it can be funded, so it can continue to grow. Even when I made Rush Card, it was never intended to be a business. But it became a business because how am I teach people to use a new form of financial service without advertising? And so it became a real business. I made money, but it was not done for money. The way you built your website, that shit wasn't done for money. So it was done because you cared about people and you risked your life. So let me just finish. I met you at Tantric. You came to Bali running from the police because you were threatened by multiple police officers, and you were building a movement. And that's how I met you. And I want you to tell us a little bit, not so much about you running from the police. They get it. But what do you do?
I feel like what I do is I try to use the information that I've grown up with. I've come from a family of lawyers. So fighting for like justice, or if someone did me wrong, even if it was a company, a teacher, an adult growing up, like I was told if some shit went wrong, there's a way to handle it. There's laws and there's ways to hold people accountable. And I think I've just grown up that way. And I started Mr. Checkpoint because in 2011, I learned that checkpoints, DUI checkpoints, which we don't want anyone drinking while driving, but DUI checkpoints were being used to target Hispanics in these cities in San Diego, Chula Vista, Escondido. They would set up a DUI checkpoint in a residential neighborhood, and they would tow 40 of these cars in a night. These people were going to and from work. Maybe they didn't have insurance or a license, and they were using DUI checkpoints essentially to target people in these communities. And so I thought a checkpoint's public knowledge. I also think a checkpoint is a bit unconstitutional. I think if we're driving freely on the roads, we shouldn't have to answer questions like, where are you going? Where are you coming from? When we're just going to and from places, right? I understand if you commit a violation that's unsafe, the cop pulls you over. Oh, it smells like alcohol. I get that. But so, yeah, that's how I started Mr. Checkpoint. And the reason I started filming the police is because I was tweeting where the checkpoints are. And then I made a sign. It said checkpoint ahead. And I held it in front of a checkpoint ahead. A motorcycle cop pulled up. It was St. Patrick's Day, and this is 2011. He said, put your sign down. I said, why? He said, you can ask why in fucking jail. I said, put your sign down. And at that point, I realized that the interactions I've always had with police, were they, whether I got a ticket or not, it was one thing or the other. But I never heard an officer say something that was so outlandish and I thought was wrong. Like, wow, I wish I had that recording. People I grew up with and my family wouldn't believe an officer would say that. So I started filming the police. I would get pulled over. I'd film the police. 99% of the footage I would get, I would throw away because nothing would happen. But one time I was pulled over. The officer wanted me to follow his finger. I'm in California, and in California, you have a right to refuse the test to follow the finger, to touch the nose, and I refused that. And because of my refusal, he had me spend a night in jail for a DUI. They took my blood. My blood was clean. But because I was filming the stop, and I wasn't filming by holding the phone. People say, hey, I'm black, so I can't film. The officer never knew I was filming. That's really important. I was never holding the phone. I hit record on my phone. I put the phone down, and it just caught audio, right? Like I say, always film the police, but audio is good enough when you're pulled over, especially. And so, yeah, the point is I was able to take that footage and sue the Santa Monica Police Department for $70,000. I didn't use a body cam footage. I only used my evidence and my footage. That video has millions of views on YouTube, and people say that happened to me, right? And well, it happened to you, but do you have proof? No. So the best way we fuck the police is to film them. And it's not anti-police to film the police. There's cops, there's bad things that happen to police, right? And then the person gets away. I don't want that to happen. But if someone was to film them, that creates transparency on all levels. So it's not anything regarding pro cop, not pro cop. It's about transparency. And I think in a community that will always serve the greater good.
You know, Checkpoint, the stuff you've been doing, and it's new. It's come to light. Black people have always, I was always afraid of Popo. I mean, police coming. Oh, shit. You got drugs? No. You do anything wrong? No. Still afraid of the police, always. Like, you didn't have that experience, but I had it always. We always afraid of police. I was telling a story. I was talking to Uncle Murder. I was talking about the South Central Cartel and how they didn't want to go home from my house in Beverly Hills. I said, well, why you don't want to go home? They were so afraid to get in their own car where there were no guns and no drugs and no violations just to drive down La Cienega. And these are scary. These guys themselves can be, when forced to be, scary themselves. They were South Central Cartel. They were what we used to refer to gangster rappers who were, you know, they were Crips, if I'm not mistaken, right? They were Crips, and they were gang-related, and they came through a very difficult growing up. And the police would just throw them on the floor every day. Like, come here, lay down, nigga, you know, complete abuse. And they were afraid to drive their car down La Cienega from Beverly Hills or from Hollywood to their hood where they came from. And that is an example. It's not foreign to me, but it's an example that you would never see. And so white folks sometimes need people to remind them about the injustice, and then maybe they could, and they have been so much more involved. Checkpoint, not like you. You've always been involved in justice and social justice, but they feel now, by watching George Floyd, all the filming has changed us in a way that we can now change our society, change our laws, and learn our rights. The most important thing Mr. Checkpoint may teach you today is your rights. When you get pulled over, what's the process?
Best thing to do. That's a good question. So I think before you're pulled over, that's the wrong time to think about this, right? So like just the next time you're in the car, if you have a minute, get your registration and your insurance. A lot of times we keep a bunch of those things piled up, they're expired. And so when you're pulled over, which is that's never like a stress-free time, right? So that's not the time when you want to start looking through a bunch of things and finding out which ones are current and not. So I always think that's an important thing to do, you know, when you have the time. When you're pulled over, though, what do you do? Before I'm pulled over, I'm going to say what I'm going to do. I'm not going to give advice, all right? But right now, if I'm driving and I see red and blue behind me, before I pull over, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my phone safely. I'm going to swipe right because it's password protected, and I'm going to hit video. When I hit video, I'm going to take the phone and I'm just going to put it down. That's it. Then I'm going to safely pull over. The cop's going to come to the car. And the idea is that you don't want to answer their questions, and you don't have to. And you don't need to tell them you're recording. It's my belief that they're public servants. There's no expectation of privacy. A lot of them have body cams on. We don't know when they're on or off, if they have them on. They are public servants, and they have no expectation of privacy. So the footage, again, I filmed the officer.
They have no legal expectation either. There's no legal. I mean, you might have an expectation. They have no legal rights. You can film them. If you wanted to, you could film them this way, but they don't like that. That gets
you could, and that could look like a gun, right? And we're not trying to instigate. We're trying to document proof. Is for me, this is what I do, right? Like, well, everyone's entitled to their own thing, but I'm like, look, I don't want to be like, who, you know, all this. He might take the phone. There goes my evidence, right? I mean, the cop is able to do things that we don't want him to do, or that are illegal. We got to remember that he has a gun. He has a badge and cuffs. So pretty much what he says goes, and you're not going to fight a cop. So when he says get out of the car, that's not the time to argue, right? I mean, I suggest you listen to the officer while exercising your right. I don't suggest just, you know, saying no, because they will yank you out of the car. I mean, they will, right? They physically, not that they legally have a right to, maybe they don't, but they can, and they do. And so the idea is they're going to say, do you know why we pulled you over? And you're going to say, why did you pull me over? Right? You can ask them, why did you pull me over? So then they tell you, where are you coming from? That's when you could say, I don't answer questions. Well, what do you mean? Where were you going? I don't answer questions. And then you could ask them, am I being detained or am I free to go? right? They're gonna say, no, you're being detained. I smell something. What's in the trunk? And that I would say, I refuse all searches, and I invoke my Fifth Amendment. And that's where you don't say another word. As some lawyers, the Pot brothers, they say you shut the fuck up. That's it. You're done. You invoke your Fifth and you're done. You might go to jail. Like, this is a reality, right? There's shit that might happen that we don't want to deal with. But when you get out of jail, do you have the evidence in the recording? You know, and that's the other thing is you don't want to.
$70,000.
Do you have money? And that's the thing is you don't want to say, like, we have a right to say fuck the police, right? I could go outside. I mean, legally, I should be able to go outside and be like, see the cop, be like, fuck the police. I could film it, right? Now, he might take me to jail. He might not. It would be against it. I should legally be able to do that. But the thing is this, there's a jury, right? And the jury, are they going to feel sympathy, right, for someone? The jury's just made of humans, like our grandparents and whatnot. Are they going to feel sympathy for someone saying fuck the police, right? Probably not. And so I think it's important to think about it when we talk to the police, when we are recording. We have to be mindful that, okay, now we have evidence. Well, how do we want to respond? How do we want to replay this when a judge is listening? Do we want the judge to hear us mouthing off to the officer, calling him names? Or do we want to, you know, I invoke my Fifth, officer. I refuse all searches, officer.
Officer, I'm sorry.
I'm
but
sorry.
I've been
Yeah,
told
I
to
mean, look,
reverse. You may say it very, respectfully.
respectfully, I
have
don't
to tell
answer
you that
questions. Yeah.
I can't answer questions. I've been, instructed, by my
You know
family
what's going
members
on.
who are lawyers. They told me don't answer questions and
You can say
don't let you search my car. They just said don't do it.
and they might do it. Again, they might do it. You saying don't search my car doesn't mean they won't do it. It means that you said that. Now, if they do, they really needed a reason, right? Sometimes they say, oh, yeah, search it. Well, they find the stuff they had a right to because you let them, right? We can always refuse it. The cops aren't our friends. Everything we tell them will be used against us. And anything we say that would help our case will never be recalled or remembered. Why? It's not relevant in a case against us. The whole reason we're in court is for the case against us.
I want to talk about what you're talking about, but I just have to mention for anybody who's listening about Dr. Dre. He's in the hospital with a brain aneurysm. I don't know if you know that.
No.
I'm sharing with you and with everybody listening. And I was talking about it before you got on a little bit, but it's just I keep getting texts about it, and that's my brother. I love him. Mm-hmm. So it's a moment, prayer. I hope he's well. So I know we're having a conversation about the police and the rest, but you're my friend. I'm sharing with you and those who are listening. So brain aneurysm. We'll pray for him.
Absolutely.
And that's all we can do right now. A lot of clogged arteries are causes for brain aneurysm. And COVID could. We don't know what. I don't want to speculate. I just want to pray for him. So let's go back to the conversation. I'm just saying it. People who don't want to listen anymore want to run off and check and see. I'm just sharing the update is that he is in the hospital. We don't have any additional information. Go ahead, Checkpoint. You said you don't have to ever answer these fucking questions. Period. Nothing. Say,
they're not your friend. No.
They're not my friend. I'm so sorry, officer. I can't answer your questions. My uncle, the lawyer, told me don't answer questions.
This goes to the level, by the way, of you not having to answer questions. Really, this I think will help explain it. The reason I say put a passcode on your phone, and I say that very specifically. I don't say use the thumbprint, and I don't say facial recognition. Why? It's because if you were pulled over, the cops got you, and they had a reason to believe that whatever they got you for, there was evidence or something on your phone that could help prove that, they could go to the judge and ask for a warrant to get in the phone. If the judge says, yeah, get a warrant to go on the phone, they could then come to you. They could physically take your finger, forcefully, and unlock the phone. They could forcefully put the phone over your face and somehow unlock it. They could do that with a warrant. However, if you don't have a facial recognition and you don't have a thumbprint, it's just passcode, correct? They can't physically go in your brain and get a 6 to 8 digit code, right? I mean, they can't physically go in your brain, and you have a Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate yourself. So you will never have more consequences. You will never have more penalties for exercising the Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate yourself, and you will never have to give that code ever. And as far as I understand, it costs a lot of money for the government and police agencies to get into the phone, and it's typically not worth it. And so I said all of that to say you don't have to answer questions. You don't even have to give the passcode when there's if they were able to get a warrant for it. And I think that goes to show really the right we have to remain silent. It goes all the way to a court of your phone of a password where you wouldn't have to give it.
Well, that's very important information. I hope people are writing this down because your work is so important. And again, you know, I said earlier, I don't know who's listening then, but the fact that you risked your life and been threatened by police and that you're working for no money and that you built up this site, this relationship with great lawyers. If you get in trouble also, if you call Mr. Checkpoint and you got something real, he'll put you in touch with some of the greatest lawyers in the world, literally. I put you in touch with Ben Crump. You work with Ben now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
Ben Crump is the #1 lawyer for police brutality, and he's available through Mr. Checkpoint. And so follow him, because he's going to always be giving you new information and updates and all that. I follow him from the day I met him when I was in Beverly Hills years ago. And he's been doing this, and he's been helping people. And there's so many incidents where he got the footage, either filmed it himself, or someone sent him the footage. He put it up. T.I. saw it, or D.L. Hughley saw it, or I saw it, or some other celebrity saw it, and then it just starts spreading like crazy. And then everybody's outraged, and everybody wants justice. And then the police department, who have blocked justice, it now has to answer to the public. Because it's really without the public, no shit happens without the public. If the people don't make them do it, they don't do it. That's just the nature of our system.
Something I want to share about the public and the difference they can make, and it goes beyond all of this, but it's really about jury duty, right? All of the cops, when it goes that far, the people and the cops get either in trouble or let off by a juror, right? And so a lot of us, we get the jury duty slips and we don't want to go. You know what I mean? It's lazy. It's like, how do we avoid it? The reality is we need to promote jury duty as a community like it's the most popular, coolest, best thing we can do for each other, because that's of our peers. We know that cops lie, right? They don't want someone who knows cops lie on the jury, but if enough of us go, they can't. There's too many of us, right? Then we make up that audience, and we know, well, maybe that cop's not telling the truth, and maybe someone doesn't get life for something that they shouldn't have because it was a jury made of a bunch of 70-year-olds who thinks that everything the cops say is a fact and the truth.
Checkpoint, Senate is his real name for those who don't know. Senate, who runs Mr. Checkpoint, the business. It's becoming a little bit of business, right? You have a Checkpoint business too? Tell me.
I mean, yeah, it makes no money, but it's it's not a nonprofit.
I want people to do good and do good. You were doing good for free for many years. So now you have Checkpoint. It's kind of an app. Tell me about the app.
The app, so the app is, some people call this the largest database of user-generated content of police in the world, right? Literally, every day people are taking videos of police, uploading it to this app. It's called the Mr. Checkpoint app. It has downloads across the entire country. And you can watch these interactions. You can rate them 1 to 5 stars. And you can also share where police are. There's police helicopters here. And then everyone in that location, kind of like Waze, except for Waze you only use when you're driving to the market or, you're going somewhere avoiding traffic. This is always on your phone. You could be at home. You could get the Mr. Checkpoint alert saying that there's an immigration checkpoint down the road. And it really is about transparency, accountability. And we also have information about the laws, the Constitution. We hook you up with Uber and Lyft in the app so that if you do get a checkpoint notification, you can get a ride home responsibly. And it's really just a public service.
Your public service work is admirable in that, if people can find ways, I always say it's about your dharma. Your life's work is really, really inspiring and uplifting for you if you choose something that inspires and uplifts others. So, you can be a business guy that shapes business and does it for the pursuit of money, and maybe you'll enjoy the focus on that. But it's the present moment that your work is really matters. Your work is your prayer. If your work uplifts other people, you're very, very lucky. If you can find work that pays your bills, that lifts people up. I know the rest of my life is service. Everything I'm building, every book I'm writing, I'm building rejuvenation resort, yoga school to teach people how to teach other people to get out of suffering. I'm building bridges between Asia and America. I'm crystal clear that my greatest happiness will come from my final chapter of service. You, at a young person, when I was your age, all I cared about was getting a new hit record. That's all I cared about. I cared about records, and I used to say that my whole life was based on cocaine and pussy. I used to say it. That's what I said. And I wanted to make money. Oh, I'm sorry, money. But cocaine was the result, right? So all of it was just bullshit. But I enjoyed it. I was giving a service still. People loved my music. People loved my comedy. People loved my poetry as I was evolving. Poetry was special to me because it gave silence and stillness to the artist, and then they could say inspired, uplifting things. And it kind of made rap go forward a little more, and I felt something. But always to feel more, give more. And what you're doing at such a young age, and yeah, Rush Card, when I built Rush Card, I built it because other people needed it. I didn't make it as a business. It was never a business. It was something I was trying to give to Acorn and other people so they could decide. So I'm giving an example, but I was older, than you. When I was your age, I didn't realize that the whole, Trump 2020, I didn't realize the whole world needed me to be a better person and a better giver. And if I worked towards those ends, or that the world would, I didn't even realize how much the gift I was giving was worth, because the music did matter. It did inspire people, the poetry, even the fashion to some degree, to see a black clothing company. It had never been one. So it was different. But now my focus is directly helping uplift people. And your focus how old are you?
33.
It's a baby. 33.
Yo,
and you've been doing it for how many years?
How many years what?
You've been doing it?
11. I started Checkpoint 11 years. I'm sorry, 2011, 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Actually, it'll be 10 in July. 10 in July.
10 years ago. You were just a kid.
Crazy.
And you were selfless, and you went to work for no money to help other people, to help Latinos, right? That's your first experience.
Yeah.
A bunch of Latinos who were being abused.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But tell me more now about not only the app, but some of the experience. Give me experience, like what have you done with Ben Crump? Because he's such an icon now in our community.
I mean, he's been an amazing resource. I mean, there's countless times it's been two ways. Either I'll get a video from the person it happened to, where it's like, this happened to me and I need the help. But what's wild is when I get the video that says, check out what I just witnessed, I share that, and then I get the email that says, that's me in the video. And I can't believe someone was across the street filming, and that I'm now watching the video of me getting my ass beat, and I was arrested for resisting arrest, right? And those are perfect times when like Crump gets on the phone with them, their family. These are the most stressful, chaotic, hectic times. And I got to tell you, like, Benjamin Crump's been on the phone with me when it's like maybe 9 p.m. my time. I know he's sometimes on the East Coast, so I can't imagine what time it is for him. And he's been an incredible resource in person. And so it's like, for you to connect to people like this.
Well, you let me know who else you need, because at least people pick up the phone, everybody. Calling Ben Crump to plug him to you was a service to both of you and a service to humanity. And so knowing that you work together is good. And if he's made some of the people who you filmed money and given them vindication and giving them support, that's an amazing thing. So it's all a ripple effect. Do good, and you see good just travel around the world. And the little things you do, you're surprised to find out how big they can be. Your work with Ben Crump, I did nothing. I just plugged you guys in and said, Ben, this guy is doing amazing work. and and I, you knew who Ben was, and so now he works with you and for you in cases. So that's good. All right, so the things I've been worried about lately, like we talk about police brutality and we talk about police accountability, but these police reform bills, and the one especially that Congresswoman Bass has in we can't do nothing until we win the Senate. We got to pray to win the Senate. We got to pray. I don't know what's going to happen, but they're voting right now. It's going up and down. People are switching from talking to you to watching the news now because it's going up and down. If we win the Senate and the police reform bill becomes passed, the most important part of the police reform bill that no one talks about, they keep talking about chokeholds and a lot of shit that is, and each person that we march for will be, it's an injustice to march for one person, get that justice for that one person. The injustice is the systematic issues that we face every day that have not been changed. Just because we saved George Floyd, we'll see what happens with those officers, or we'll see what happens with the officer who shot the wall instead of her. We'll see. We don't get justice until prosecutors are made accountable. And the prosecutors' problem is that they are accountable to the police union and not to the people. Prosecutors are afraid of the city politics in every case. And so what they're doing nothing that will offend the funding partners of their campaigns to win election. So prosecutors work for the other side. Now, if they arrest you, especially you, they arrest you, Mr. Checkpoint, and they put you in jail, they'll get a feather in their cap. Everybody will be like, oh, what a great prosecutor. He got rid of Mr. You and many others, any of us get arrested by the police, and they get a feather in their cap. If somebody arrests a policeman and they indict that policeman, they get a hatchet to their neck.
Yeah.
The opposite of what they should get. When you're prosecuting, the exact opposite. And so the police reform bill, buried in that bill and not talked about enough, is possibly having a federal board that oversees prosecutors in each of the territories who will then prosecute police and get benefits from it as they would any other case. When you prosecute and win, you get a pat on the back, you get a raise, you get whatever the fuck you get. You don't get none of that when you prosecute a policeman in the current system. We need systematic change. And that part of the police reform bill must be highlighted. It can't be cut out when they change the bill. If Democrats win and they let the police union win, because they're scared of the police union too.
But it's time for them to be scared of the people. And so the people need to make sure that they have their voice heard, and that those politicians, all those elected officials, know that this is what the people care about. And one thing I want to say is, like, I think it's really important for them to know that it's not about Democrat or Republican. We will vote across the aisle if you do not do what we want and what we expect and what we think is right for the community. And it is prosecuting bad cops, and it's not prosecuting people who shouldn't be, right? I mean, to go on what you said, when I did get in trouble, I remember a prosecutor trying to submit pages and pages of Mr. Checkpoint saying that I helped drunk drivers, like this whole thing. I mean, the judge said none of this is even relevant, right? And it's like how quick they want to paint a picture of someone bad, right? But when the police do wrong, there's no accountability. There's nothing ever said. I every time I watch a chief or a captain talk about one of their officers, you know what I find they say? It's a standard comment. They say, well, I can't make any judgments because I wasn't there, right? I didn't personally observe it, so I wasn't there. How many times do they make a judgment every day when their officers arrest people when they have no idea what happened and they're just taking their officer's word for it, right? And then when there's footage and videos, they still somehow say, well, we can't share what we think about it because we weren't there, right? And it's like it's really biased. I think ending qualified immunity is as well as a very important thing.
That's right. So ending qualified immunity, and more important, I think, to me, is prosecuting bad police. And if you prosecute a bad policeman, his man is guilty too. So when you're sitting there and you see that the law has changed, and that you have prosecutors whose job it is to prosecute for doing wrong, then you don't watch your man do dumb shit. As a cop, you're sitting next to a cop who's breaking the law, and you realize you're going to go down with him.
Call
This
it being
is
an
the blue wall.
accomplice. Yeah.
Yeah, you're an accomplice. So we got to break the blue wall, and the most important part of the blue wall comes from the fact that they always are immune to real problems, that prosecutors don't prosecute them. When prosecutors start prosecuting guys and they start prosecuting their accomplices, then the whole system changes. Like in civil rights, the integration was impossible, but then they had to walk them motherfuckers in there with soldiers. And then after a time, the law changes, and then the people change. The societal norm changes. The police activity changes. Once you start putting cops in jail, they start educating cops.
Yeah, of course.
They start changing.
This is what blows my mind all the way, is why do we have police? It's a simple thing. We have police because of laws. We have laws because if you break them, you get in trouble. Police come, then you go through the courts, right? Well, the whole point of all of it is for order, right? Literally, the whole point of that whole system is to create order, right? Don't do bad shit. You do bad shit. Cops come, you have to deal with it. You are held accountable. Well, now we wonder why it's a mess in all the departments pretty much across the country, because there is no accountability. They do have free reign. They can break the law and go back to work. They can get fired for breaking the law and still get paid leave. That doesn't happen in any company, any industry. The only other place that there is as about equal less the horrible accountability is the church and the pedophiles in the church. And when they do bad, they get sent to another church, and who knows what happens, and somehow those people don't get held accountable. It's really no different with the police. And those are the people that we pay to protect and serve.
They get paid, they go get another job,
the
another
difference
police
is,
force.
I don't have to go to church. But if I'm driving to work, I might have to pull over if you get behind me. And so it's time we hold these people accountable, and we hold the people we elect. We really have to put them to the test.
They're afraid. The Democrats are afraid. They are supposed to be the ones who are going to deliver justice now under Joe Biden, and hopefully, God knows we're all praying to see, because government will not be functional, no matter what you feel. This is my opinion now. No matter what you feel. Cops are not all bad at all. No one's saying that. Government will not... I took drugs as a child. What was I saying?
That they don't go after the cops. The government doesn't do shit. The cops can do bad. It's not designed. It's
the fact is a federal board that oversees, and I was saying Congress is afraid. Black Congress, white Congress, they all are paid for and supported by police unions. So they're afraid. The police union does not want to give up the control of the lead prosecutors. The lead prosecutors depend on investment from and support from police unions. So if they get in a fight with the police union, if they say we should have prosecutors who are free from political control, if they say that, they say it in the bottom of their bill because they know it's the most important thing. And I, Madam Vice President and Cory Booker put that in the bill. The police reform bill has a part that speaks crystal clear about having a separate group of prosecutors who are not held accountable to police unions. Police unions don't want to give up the right to control the prosecutors. They work with the prosecutors because they're always, police in general, because they're always prosecuting cases. But the police who are being prosecuted or should be prosecuted, those people absolutely need to have power to go forward without threat of losing their job or being voted out of office. The reason you're voted out because the police union would spend so much money getting rid of you. I've